What's up, peeps, and welcome back to the Lionel Beat Show. It's your first time tuning into the channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on the videos, man. Today we actually doing a recap of Untold Stories of Hip Hop, episodes 1 and 2. Now in episode 1, Snoop Dogg tells a story about Nas running up on Tupac with his entourage, and steps to Pac and tells him that he loves his music and he's a fan. Tupac then reminds Nas that he dissed him, Jay-Z, and Biggie. Nas replies, "I'll never diss you." And then Pac fires back, "If you a fan, then don't say nothing." As he walked away, Pac told Snoop that he punked Nas, and Snoop Dogg said nah, he let us slide because they were definitely outnumbered. Another interesting thing Snoop revealed is that he used to hang out with Biggie and Diddy, smoking and drinking together. His friendship and lack of hatred for Biggie ultimately enraged Tupac, and he even snatched a Biggie record while a DJ was playing his song in the club. Things got so bad flying back that he hid a knife and fork under his blanket on a private jet and reclined in his seat with a knife and fork ready to do Pac or anyone else if they approach him at the back of the plane. Snoop dropped a song called "I Wanna Thank Me," and then Snoop then claims he patronized Suge by saying, "Why are you mad at me? You created me." He said he had all the time in the world to hurt me, but I'm bigger than you. You wanted my soul and I took that back. He spoke on his crew wanting to take out Suge and he called them off. He later lost a deal with the initial founders of Uber because they came into the club with Suge and he refused to allow them to talk to Snoop. Now Snoop reveals that he dealt weed to Cameron Diaz back in high school and how Martha Stewart is the only one to drink him under the table. He spoke about hearing Biggie's last album while they were hanging out and him dropping his name in a song, and Snoop felt like he was really loved by Big. Now Cardi B also featured on episode 1, and she talked about how she went from stripping to fame. Fat Joe mentioned she stripped in one of the most notorious parts of the Bronx in a very dingy strip club. Joe Budden mentioned that Cardi B was one of the most least desirable dancers he thought would have ever been able to be cleaned up and catapulted to stardom. Cardi B spoke on wanting to be a video vixen, and she met a guy that indicated her top wasn't good enough and she needed to get butt implants. She went to meet him and he propositioned her by asking if she wanted to be in a particular magazine and pulled out his schlong. She told the magazine owner and the owner pretty much said, "So what?" She used her people skills to make it out of the club. Lionel first gave Cardi her chance by putting her on an unreleased song. Now Brooklyn Johnny saw potential in Cardi and signed her to Atlantic. Years later, Cardi confesses she still feels like the underdog regardless of her impressive sales numbers. She talked about how Offset stalked her to get her attention and kept hitting up DJ Clue to go on a date with her. She later on talked about her not speaking to him for 3 days and stopped her period by using gelatin and ibuprofen so she could lay up with Offset. She definitely made headlines by actually revealing that information, but she also told people to do not try that at home. Now the weird thing is, when she actually got pregnant, the people that she thought had her back begged her not to, and that upset her the most. In episode 2, we are visited by Ja Rule, Fat Joe, Queen Latifah, and Noriega. Now Ja Rule talks about Fat Joe's fear to take to the friendly skies and get on any type of planes. And Ja explained the importance of travel because he was at the time making a staggering $14 million for overseas tours. Now Ja Rule mentioned a crazy concert promoter by the name of Raquinho that kidnapped DMX previously and then ended up kidnapping Ja Rule and Fat Joe on this particular trip. They perform a show and Raquinho doesn't want them to leave. He wants them to do more shows, and he keeps them there for an entire 6 days. However, he kept giving them thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, although they wanted desperately to go home. Eventually, they were able to return by to from which they came. Now, Ja Rule spoke about being a Jehovah's Witness, and once he showed interest in rap, he was shunned from the religion called disfellowship. His church only wanted them to hang around other Jehovah's Witnesses and not do worldly things. The religion is so strict with disfellowship, your whole entire family and friends are supposed to cut you off and disassociate with you. Him and his mother left the religion because of their strict ways and chose to go another route in life and to embrace the world. Ja Rule's home as a child became the party environment and cool house for neighborhood kids, and his mother condoned it all. Now Fat Joe steps on the scene and talked about his spiraling beef with Jay-Z. Fat Joe led a basketball team at the Fame Court, the Rucker, and he was 99-1 as a coach. Jay-Z put together a team to compete at the Rucker, and Fat Joe was offended and felt that Jay-Z was trying to outshine him and take his crown. They were set to meet up because both of their teams were in the championship. However, Jay-Z's team never made an appearance, and Fat Joe's team won by default. Now, Fat Joe's mouth got him into some heat, boasting about how Jay's team was scared to come, and that same boasting spilled over into his music on the hit song Lean Back. He spoke about being in the elevator with Jay-Z, and they always previously spoke, but this time he ignored Fat Joe after he said hello. For years they never spoke until he commissioned him to lend some verses to his track All the Way Up. Now Noreaga talked about squashing the beef between the two because of his ties with Memphis Bleak. Now Jay-Z eventually calls him and agrees to do a feature on the song, and Fat Joe subsequently landed a management deal years later with Roc Nation. Fat Joe also spoke about his friendship with Big Pun and him losing his life at only 28 years old. Big Pun's weight was certainly a major issue, and Fat Joe would get upset seeing his friend eat his life away with so much junk food and fast food piled up at his home. He let Pun know ahead of time that his life was in danger. Big Pun then made good with his desire to live and went to a weight management farm. However, after shedding more than 100 pounds, he ended up going into cardiac arrest and passed away. Fat Joe was rocked by losing his best friend, or what he considered his bromance. The next day, after losing his best friend Pun, his grandfather dies, and then his sister dies just days later. Talk about death coming in threes. Fat Joe was super depressed and felt like it was the darkest days of his life. He sought professional help with psych doctors to learn breathing techniques and to help manage, cope, and embrace who he was. Now Queen Latifah actually steps on the scene as well, and she gave a heartfelt breakdown about losing her brother and how it changed so many things in her life for the worse. She mentioned her life was actually bittersweet. Her show Living Single jumped to the #1 show in Black and Latino households, but mentally she was done and certainly over rap, and she ended up quitting. She struggled with drinking and smoking on the daily to try to cope with her loss. Heavy D, Patti LaBelle all stepped in to help her grief because they all had sibling losses and they were able to relate with her, and she actually let a lot of her pain go through her music. Now Noreaga reveals that he once entered the game and had some success with his group CNN, Capone, and Noreaga. He wanted to venture out solo and prove to himself that he could stand on his own 2 feet. And by chance, Pharrell walked into his studio one day and actually sung the song to Nori for the hook of Blood Money and mentioned that he was a fan of gangsta music but was far from a thug. Now Pharrell told him that a lot of people back then didn't believe in his advice, but the one that did was shoot straight to #1. He played a few tracks for Noreaga and he held out one in particular. He made Noreaga not listen to this particular song until he reaches Miami. Nori gets to his hotel in Miami and the song ended up being his breakout hit as a solo artist entitled What. Now the hook wasn't even intended to be a hook at all. It was an error in how Noreaga actually counted his bars when penning verses, but it turned out to be a match made in hip hop heaven. So peeps, that was the Untold Stories of Hip Hop episodes 1 and 2 recap, man, and I'm telling y'all I am so excited, man, for the next upcoming episodes. Now the next one is actually going to be dropping on October the 10th. It's going to feature Ice Cube and DJ Khaled. On the 17th we got ASAP Rocky and Nelly, and on the 24th is Queen Latifah, Mano, and MC Lyte. Now make sure y'all watch Untold Stories of Hip Hop on WEtv. It airs at 10 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday through the end of October. Man, y'all gotta check this show out. It is definitely groundbreaking. Everything you wanted to know, everything you don't get on the blog sites, and everything you don't get on the Breakfast Club, you definitely get it on this Untold Stories of Hip Hop, because guess what? The stories are untold and it's absolutely amazing. Y'all make sure y'all check out that show, man. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on the videos. Share the videos, and I'm gonna peep y'all on the next one. Holla.